Good afternoon. I'd like to call to order the September 11th Planning Board meeting. We can all take a moment of silence, particularly on this day. Rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Diane, do we have any items of information? I don't see Diane. I saw you earlier.
Oh, yeah. So we had a couple items with links, so since last time you wanted them on the screen, I went ahead and added slides. First item is that there will be a special presentation at the September 12th Town Council meeting. Town of Apex participated in a region-wide planning effort that was led by DOT to prepare for possible future rail service along the S-Line corridor. And the study final report and playbook will be presented by the project team at the September 12th meeting. And the final report's available at this link. Wanted to mention that Shannon Cox, Russell Dalton, and myself participated as part of the stakeholders group throughout that process, as well as Sean Purvis and Mr. Gant. The second one is a special presentation that will be on the September 26th Town Council meeting. Town of Apex participated in a region-wide planning effort led by Wake County and their consultant to analyze existing land cover and tree cover conditions within Wake County. One goal of the study was to identify potential opportunities for tree cover restoration with a focus on equity for vulnerable communities. The findings were provided for each municipality in Wake County, and the project team from Wake County will provide a brief summary of the study, and the final report's available at this link. From our department, Shelley Mayo, Jenny Yessen, myself were involved. From electric, the town's arborist, Philip Barnes, was involved, and from communications, Stacy Galloway was involved. So I just wanted to let y'all know if you want to watch the YouTube video or if you want to come to the meetings, there will be those special presentations.
Thank you, Diane, and thank you for adding it to the screen. Thank you. All right, we will move on now to public comment. The purpose of public comment is to allow the public to speak on items that do not appear in this agenda under public hearings. Any member of the public wishing to comment on the public hearing items will be called so later in the agenda. The public comment period is an opportunity for the public to express concerns or opinion, but is not intended to be a question and answer session. During public comment, the public may comment on any public hearing, on any non-public hearing item, including new business items that appear in this agenda. Comments from the public on new business items will be taken later in the agenda. So if you wish to appear, will not be taken later on the agenda. So if you wish to speak on a new business item, public comment is the time to do so. All comments must be limited to 3 minutes. When the 3 minutes are up, the speaker will be asked by the chair to wrap up the session. If you're interested in speaking in public comment, if you're not signed up, please sign up here to the left. And I know, Mr. Colby, you have an item for us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I do have an item. I don't know if you can see this on the diagram. This is a diagram that I received from Steve Percy, the developer for the development that's next to my house in the, what do they call it? Well, in our development. This is on Old US 1. And the point I want to make, Steve Percy gave me this diagram, and you can see right here is where my house is. This is a house right there, and then the garage right there. This area here, I talked to him about it. I wanted a green area behind my house. You can see how close we are to this month. And I appreciate the fact that there's a building here that's on the Greenway, and that's okay, and you agree to that. That's great, I appreciate that. But it's this area that I'm concerned about. And Steve Percy made this comment to me he's gonna leave that as kind of a grass area. And this is the diagram he showed me. He's gonna contest this. Well, it's all completely different now. It's not what's on the Apex database. I don't care. He's not being honest with the people around the development. And the comment by Apex Town Council and in your bylaws that builders are supposed to work with the owners of the property around their development. And I just want to make that note. On another topic, I know you guys are looking at the loss of tree cover, and my compliments to the girl that wrote up the webpage. I forgot her name, but it was an excellent document she sent out. But I would also like to mention that the loss of, this is one of the things that even Steve Percy did. They just come in and they clear out all the trees. I live on 3 acres. They're going to put 127 townhomes on 24 acres. I've got, in the surrounding area, we've got 1 house on 3 acres. With their analysis, that's more than 7 houses, 7 townhomes per acre. That's not congenial to what the surrounding area is. I'm 70 years old. Praise the Lord, I'm going to hang in there for a few more years. But I'd like to retire without the amount of traffic that this is going to create and the amount of building. That's at least give me the green area behind my house. And my compliments again to, what was that girl's name? I got it right here. Lauren Stoudemire. She helped me a lot and identify some issues. Okay, and there's my 2 seconds. Well, thank you for your time. You can keep this diagram for your reference. If you want a hard copy, I've got one.
That would be great.
Okay, I'll get the hard copy and bring it to you. Thank you for your time and your patience, your attention.
I didn't catch the name and the address.
Mr. Colby, yes.
I'm
please.
sorry, my address
Yes.
was 1007 Winding Creek Road, Apex. It's a little nice gravel road just off 540. You know where that church is? We're just a little beyond where that church is. And it's our little secret, and it's my little piece of Apex country, boy. It is.
You did just tell YouTube, by the way.
My friend?
You did just tell YouTube. We're being broadcast.
Oh, okay.
Thank you so much, Mr. Colby.
Oh, thank you.
Do we have any additional folks that would like to speak before public comment? If not, we will move on to the consent agenda. We have one item. Those are to approve the minutes from the August 14th meeting. I assume everyone's had a moment to take a look at them. So I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Thank you. And a second?
Second.
All right. All in favor of approving the minutes from the August 14th meeting? Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. It's approved unanimously.
Was that member Rose that seconded?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Colby. All right, we do not have any public hearings before us this evening, so we will now move on to new business. And item number 1 is for Jenna. On the introduction and public input summary presentation for the Western Big Branch area plan. Thank you, Jenna.
Hey, thank you. Good afternoon.
Okay.
Oh, excuse me. So today I'll be introducing the Western Big Branch Area Plan and sharing a summary of the public input received to date. So the Western Big Branch Area Plan is a small area plan for the area shown here in yellow, and it's bounded to the east by NC 540, to the north by Old US 1 and the railroad tracks, to the west, just west of New Hill Holloman Road, and to the south by US 1. The considerations that prompted this plan is that substantial development has occurred around the study area, and property owners and residents have requested involvement in future planning for this area, and as well as the upcoming Big Branch Pump Station and Force Main project. The outcomes of the small area plan is that it will inform possible revisions to the 2045 land use map, as well as the 2045 transportation plan. So this diagram displays the planning process and schedule. Currently, we're in the gather data and community input stage. Next, we'll be entering the draft plan, and then we'll be presenting that to the community in the winter of next year and asking for input on the draft, and then bringing that revised plan based on the input we receive back to you all in town council. And the anticipated timeline for that is spring of next year. So in August, or in last month, we held 2 open houses for this small area plan. The first was on August 9th, and it was held at Apex Friendship High School, and 106 people attended that open house. The next one was on August 30th, and they were at the New Hill Community Center, and there were 85 attendees, and the same information and materials and activities were available at each of the 2 open houses. So there were 5 stations at the open houses. The first, where participants were asked to sign in and participate in a live, work, and play activity. And then the second one, they were asked to share their preferences on land use and development. The third station was information sharing on existing and planned water and sewer infrastructure, as well as on watershed protection. The station 4 was an interactive station collecting input on transportation needs. And then finally, station 5, an interactive station to gather input from the community on their vision and goals for the study area. So station 1, this is a map of the results of the where do you live, work, and play. So participants were asked to use a green sticker to indicate, or green dot to indicate where they live, a red dot for where they work, and blue for where they play. And there was a wide distribution of people who live in the study area. As you can see, the study area is shown here with the black outline. And a number of attendees live, work, and play within the study area. And for those that shared that they play outside of the study area, there were a number of responses for the Apex Community Park, as well as downtown and the Apex and the Apex Nature Park. And for those who provided responses outside of the map extent, the most were for those who work in Raleigh. So that station 2 was asking people to share information on their land use preferences. The first 2 boards were asking people to share what are their future residential preferences for the study area. So for each of the residential densities, there's a picture showing the ground view of that density, and then a map view, and then in the upper left-hand corner is the responses. So people are asked to put a green sticker to show what they want to see more of, and a red for what they want to see less of. So the numbers in that pie chart correspond with the responses. So for example, this one, there were 118 green stickers, and then 10 red stickers for what they want more and less of. And the overwhelming preference was for rural density and rural transition. And I'll show these are the responses for the medium, high, and high density. So the preference was for it to stay the same. Generally, what's out there is rural and rural transition density. And while there was a preference for rural density, there was interest in mixed housing depending on what part of the study area. And then the next board in this activity, people were asked to share their preferences on non-residential and mixed uses in the study area. So again, using those green stickers to indicate what they want to see more of, and red for less. And these are in order of ratio of more of over the total. So people want to see more of 1 to 2 story downtown, 1 story office and park, and then less large scale commercial, industrial, and 2 to 3 story mixed use. And the final activity on Station 2, people looked at a community resources board and were asked to provide input on what they would like to see preserved and improved. And there were many responses related to transportation, but those responses will be shared on the upcoming slides in the transportation needs section. But for preserve, these areas are marked with the green circles, and primarily the responses were to preserve the residential and historic properties in the vicinity of Friendship Road, Bosco Road, and Mason Road, as well as to preserve Vicious Fishes up here. There were comments to improve the New Hill Community Center, and then there was a mix of preserve and improve responses for Pleasant Park, with most of the improved reactions related to transportation access to the park. As well as, and there were also a mix of improve and preserve responses for the intersection of New Hill Holloman Road at Old US 1 and the railroad tracks. And the improved responses were primarily around congestion at that intersection. So the next station was transportation needs. So here is a look at all of them, and I'm going to go through them individually. But the largest circles indicate what we heard the most from participants, and then followed by some medium circles and then smaller for what we heard less and less of as you get smaller. So we heard the most of are these top 4 comments. The first being safety and congestion on Friendship Road at Old US 1, as well as congestion along Friendship Road, or comments against the Friendship Road widening. And number 3, comments to close or convert the Friendship Road Bridge to a bicycle and pedestrian bridge. And number 4, congestion along Old US 1. Comments 5 through 11, we heard multiple times, but not as many times as comments 1 through 4. So comment 5 is congestion along New Hill Holloman Road at US 1. Comment 6, congestion and safety at the intersection of New Hill Holloman Road and Friendship Road. Comment 7 were comments both for and against the Richardson Road extension. Comment 8 is congestion and safety concerns at the intersection of Evans Road and Hume Olive Road. Comment 9 were comments against new connections to Pleasant Plains Road. Number 10 is congestion and safety on Pleasant Plains Road at the intersection with Old US 1. And 11 were comments both for and against the Pleasant Plains Road extension. So finally, comments 12 through 22, we heard once or twice from participants at the open houses. So comment 12 were comments regarding congestion along New Hill Olive Chapel Road. 13 is congestion at Old US 1 at the intersection with New Hill Holloman Road. 14, congestion on Bosco Road at Old US 1. 15, comments against the Bosco Road collector. 16, congestion along US 1. 17, congestion on Friendship Road at the intersection with Holly Springs Road. 18, safety concerns at the intersection of Hume Olive Road and Richardson Road. 19, safety concerns at the intersection with Holland Road and Old US 1. 20, a comment to add a grade separation at Old US 1 where it meets Boyette Street and Pleasant Park. 19, safety concerns at the intersection of Holland Road and Old US 1. 21, add a traffic signal at Kelly Road and Old US 1. And then finally 22, a comment to add access to Pleasant Park from NC 540. So here's one more overall look to kind of see the whole picture together after going through them individually. Okay. So here this slide displays the comments that we received for bicycle and pedestrian improvements. And again, the larger the circle, the more comments we received at that location. So comments 1 and 2, we received the most. So those were regarding cycling safety and opportunities along Old US 1 and Friendship Road. Comments 3 and 4 were also for cycling safety and opportunities along New Hill Olive Chapel Road and New Hill Holloman Road. And then comments 5 through 8, again, we heard once or twice at the public open house, with comment 5 being to add bicycle and pedestrian connections to the Apex Greenways and the American Tobacco Trail. And comment 6, to provide pedestrian crossings of of New Hill Olive Chapel Road at Horton Ridge Boulevard. And comment 7, to add sidewalks from New Hill into Apex. And number 8 isn't on this map because it applies to the overall study area, and the comment was to add additional and connected bicycle paths and sidewalks. So here's one more look at the overall feedback we received regarding bicycle and pedestrian infrastructure. And finally, Station 5, Vision and Goals. So the first part of the station was the one-word activity, where participants were asked to write on the graffiti board one word or phrase describing what they love in the study area, what the study area needs less of, and what the study area needs more of. And some highlights that were shared on that graffiti board for love were rural farms, wildlife, and trees. For what people would like to see less of in the study area, some highlights were less housing density, less traffic, and less development. And then respondents would like to see more bicycle facilities, traffic control, and mixed housing and public transit. Those were the standouts. And there are a lot more in here. And this will be posted online if you all want to dig deeper. There are a lot of good comments on this one. Okay, so finally, the thought wall, and I'll lead into this one. So participants were asked to, or were given 4 cards and asked to describe one hope, challenge, or opportunity in the study area, and then to save their 5th card for their most important thought. And then using those 5 cards to put them on the thought wall, on the wall, under the most relevant theme. And the 5 themes were future land use, transportation, quality of life, environment, and history. And the thoughts in white text are those that were the most important thoughts shared. And then in black text were the other comments that were put on the wall. So I'll go through some of the highlights for each of the themes. The first was future land use, and there were multiple comments regarding to preserve or provide more rural land and open space, and to slow or stop development. For transportation, there were comments to provide roadway maintenance, particularly along Friendship Road, and then to address traffic issues and increase roadway capacity. For quality of life, there were comments to maintain and enhance the rural character and the privacy in the study area, and then to provide more affordable housing and mixed housing options. For environment, there were comments to stop the clear cutting and maintain trees in the study area, as well as to protect water resources. And for history, there were comments to maintain the historic feel, historic farms, and historic homes in the area, as well as to replace the Friendship community signs and provide additional signs and markers throughout the study area. So the next steps, tomorrow we'll be presenting this same presentation to Town Council. And then the next steps for the open house, we'll be posting and sharing this graphic summary on the website, and then preparing and posting frequently asked questions and responses. And then we're starting to schedule meetings with regional and state partners to share the feedback that we received at these open houses. So that's all I had. Thank you. Do y'all have any questions or anything you want to take another look at?
Thank you, Jenna. I
Yeah.
had one quick question.
Sure.
You noted that it would be posted on the website. Is that, when will that happen? When will that go up? And the entirety of your presentation will be?
I think that was my plan, to post all of this, the graphic summary online. I think the plan is to do it after the Town Council presentation. Sorry, I don't.
Additional questions?
Looks like Friendship Road was a particular focus.
Definitely, yeah. I heard a lot about that.
The only other question I have, I'm sorry, is do you feel like, it sounds like we had just under 200 attendees between both sessions. Do you feel like this is a wide representation of community voice?
I think so, based on, I think the live, work, play map helps display. Sorry, there's a lot of animations, let me get through.
And thank you for the visualizations.
Sure.
I thought they
Yeah.
were really, really helpful.
I agree, especially using examples from our community that really makes it real. That was helpful.
Awesome, glad to hear that, thanks. So yeah, I think, so the green dots are where people live, and it's a little hard to see at this scale, but I was at this station, and I saw a lot of people put their dots in the study area, so there was a lot of green here, and there were some people who live around the study area as well. So I'd say there was a pretty wide distribution of people who live in the study area who attended.
What does the yellow stand for?
So the yellow is, I'm trying to remember, the yellow is the town limits, I believe.
That's correct.
Yes, thank you. Oh yeah, it's on here. Yeah, Apex corporate limits, excuse me.
Additional questions for Jenna?
What was the next step after, like, how do you compile the data that you just, it's just like a barrage of all this feedback. What do you do with that from here?
Yeah, I think that's, so our immediate next step is to develop the draft vision and goals based on what we heard, and then go into developing the draft plan. So ultimately, the plan is to have draft or amendments to the land use plan and transportation plan. So we'll take all this feedback and see and translate that into potential amendments. Does that kind of answer your question? Okay.
So will the community have additional options for input? I'm thinking, this is a great compilation. I was able to attend the second session, so I feel like these are definitely some of the themes I saw and the conversations I had. But I'm wondering if, having a compilation is definitely different than, being there and in presence. I'm wondering if the community will have an opportunity to weigh in sort of at this stage while we're still gathering information.
So right now, the plan is to bring this or to post this online, and people can reach out to me with any questions. And then when we go back to the community early next year with the draft plan, we'd show the input that we received and how that translated into the draft plan. So have this information for people to view in tandem with the draft plan.
Thank you.
Jenna, real quick, the area, the Western Apex, Western Big Branch area, that's in the town's planning area, zone, but not in the ETJ, is that correct?
It's all in the planning zone, and I need to look at the map to see if any of it's in the ETJ. I don't think most of it is.
Friendship to
in
540
the
is in the
ETJ.
ETJ.
Okay.
Everything from Friendship down, I think, is county.
There's some parts that, so the gray dash is ETJ on this map, and it's a little hard to see.
Yeah.
But there is some gray dash in there, and then Pleasant Park is in the town.
My house is the
I think
first
Diane-
house in the county going south.
So you're in the planning jurisdiction, not in the
That's
ETJ?
correct.
Okay.
So just so we use the terminology that the county uses, they call it municipal service area. It's the area they plan to be part of Apex in the future. The old terminology was urban services area. You may have heard that previously, and we often refer to it colloquially here in Apex as our future planning jurisdiction, but officially in the county, it's municipal service area.
All right, thank you, Jenna.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we have Amanda for possible motion regarding various amendments to the UDO.
You're fine.
No worries.
I get there just slowly.
Take your time.
Thank you.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. We have a series of amendments, some cleanup items, others different changes, but the first item before you is actually a request from the Planning Committee of Town Council, and that is to change the use tattoo parlor and body piercing from a special use permit in the planned commercial zoning district to a use allowed by right. It would still remain a special use permit if the property was also in the small town character area. And additionally, to strike the supplemental use standards that are just related to signage. Those standards also exist in the sign section, no need for it to be duplicated. And so that's the summary of this change. Happy to answer any questions on this one that you may have. Okay. The next amendment is to strike greenways from the list of Class 1 uses. Essentially, this would ensure that if a greenway is constructed, we're not anticipating that the town's going to provide a buffer from adjacent properties from a greenway. Typically, as you know, greenways are located as part of an accessory use or as part of a residential development. Sometimes we get the easements for them through non-residential developments, but they're typically in an area that's already protected by trees. It's kind of a moot point to require a buffer along a greenway. Any questions there?
I have a question.
Yep.
If you were to have a landscape buffer between a use and you had to let me think of a scenario. If you have a property line that was a creek and you had a buffer between two adjacent owners and the creek is essentially a buffer, but it may not have like understory plantings and you wanted to have a greenway run through there, does that mean you'd have to give additional, I guess you'd have to do that anyway.
I mean, there's a creek, there's going to be a riparian buffer. In a lot of cases, we're looking at the overall assemblage, like the overall development and how to interpret the land uses. So if you had a subdivision adjacent to a subdivision, then we would look at that subdivision as a whole in determining what the buffer is required between them. So versus just looking at, oh, this subdivision is adjacent to a greenway, we would look at what the primary use is of that area versus just the greenway. All right, moving on. Amendment 3, recently we moved some standards for our dumpster screening from the Design and Development Manual to the Town Standard Spec Book. And so we're updating references in the UDO that need to get updated for that. In addition, in the riparian buffer section, the certificate that's for riparian buffers is no longer in the Design and Development Manual. It's now in our site plan or master subdivision final plat application. So we're updating the UDO to accurately direct people where that information is located. Any questions there? Our fourth amendment is to change the word, is in the variance section of the ordinance, and it's to change the word ordinance to regulation, in that when people are requesting a variance, it's from a particular regulation, not the entire ordinance. And this is also consistent with state law. Number 5 is a cleanup item. When we removed the use as daycare facility and drop-in and short-term daycare from the B2 Downtown Business Zoning District a few years ago, we missed removing the supplemental standards referring to those. And so this is a cleanup item to remove those supplemental standards. And finally, amendments to various sections of the UDO to reflect changes in department title. Our former Public Works and Transportation Department is now 2 different departments, Public Works and Transportation and Infrastructure Development. The proposal also includes moving the floodplain administrator duties to the Water Resources Department and adding the Water Resources Department to the list of those included in the Technical Review Committee, as that is current practice anyhow. And I can show you all those changes if you want to see them, but otherwise I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. Planning staff is recommending approval of these amendments.
Amanda, any questions? Pretty straightforward. All right, do you have any possible motions?
Make a motion to approve.
Thank you.
Do we have to,
Second?
do we have to open the public comment?
Nope, new business.
New
Okay,
business.
just new, but okay.
I'll second your motion.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that item 2 passes unanimously. All right, Diane, item number 3, request to change the date for the November Planning Board meeting. Although I was confused, but you're gonna clarify and explain.
I read the wrong date. Nope, November of 2024. It's next year. But the reason we have to do this so far ahead is that we issue the calendar of meetings in the October, November timeframe for next year. So we just wanted to get your opinion on what you would like to do next year. Yes, it is not a holiday this year. So in the past, we had typically moved it to the Tuesday, the very next day, but town council now meets on the second Tuesday of the month, so they already have a meeting. So we did look at our schedules, and it would still work out to have it a week early. So we are recommending that it be on November the 4th of 2024, if you all have no objections. I know that so far you probably have no idea if you're going to be available or not, but we just have to get a vote, actually, just to get it on the record so we can change the
I'll
calendar.
actually just double checking the date.
No worries, no worries, it's not.
2023, All right. Any questions for Diane? All right. We need to make.
Yeah, I
a
think we should
motion?
do a motion second
I'll
vote. Yeah.
make a motion to approve the change in date. 2024.
Second?
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that passed unanimously.
Thank you very much.
When will we get those calendars, Diane?
We work on them when we can, so we try to work on them usually in October. They probably won't be issued till November. Some years it ends up being December, and this year, actually, because of the election, it'll be December.
Yeah, we usually also wait for town councils.
That's what I'm saying, it'll be December this year. When it's a non-election year, we already have the dates often, but we won't have the dates until they have their organizational meeting. So it'll be December this year.
Thank you. All right, we just need one more motion for the night.
Make a motion to adjourn.
And a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. Thank you, everybody.